Hello again, everyone. John Harper with you on this segment of Space Coast Daily. We've got an interesting guest for this segment, a very timely guest as well, and that is psychologist Dr. Mike Ronsisvalle. And Dr. Mike, thanks for being with us. We appreciate you taking some time to be with us here on Space Coast Daily.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And your therapy firm is called LiveWell Behavioral Health, right?
That's correct.
And tell us a little bit about what your clinic does.
So, LiveWell is a full-service psychological clinic, meaning we've got, I think at this point, John, 41 clinicians in our office, psychiatrists, psychiatric nurse practitioners, licensed psychologists, licensed mental health counselors, licensed social workers, and basically we all work as a team to try to treat whatever comes through our door. You can imagine with 40 something clinicians, it doesn't matter whether it's a 3-year-old kid who's having some sort of fear issues or anxiety, or a 90-year-old person who's just dealing with end of life issues. We can handle both ends of the spectrum and everything in between. We do psychological testing, we do therapy, family therapy, child therapy, play therapy, medication management. We do a TMS treatment for treatment-resistant depression. We have intensive programs for depression, anxiety, trauma, and addictions where we treat people for sometimes 12, 15 hours a week, and we give them the kind of coping skills that will help them get healthy and stay healthy. And that's really the goal of LiveWell, is we want to help people not only get healthy, we want to give away the skills and strategies that will help them stay healthy.
There is so much that you offer, and as you said, you've got over 40 clinicians working with you and for you.
Right.
Let's talk about Dr. Mike, though, for a moment.
Okay.
How did you get started in psychology?
So that's a good question. I actually am a homegrown boy. I grew up here in North Merritt Island. My family were citrus farmers out on North Merritt Island. I grew up in the middle of acres and acres of orange trees. And one thing that I valued growing up in Brevard County that has shaped me and it's formed me is family. Like, my family was the most important thing in my life, and it still is the most important thing in my life. Is like God, faith, family. That's the code I live by, and I think that's ultimately what drove my decision to pursue psychology. Is because for me, I wanted to be able to speak into people's lives, and I wanted to be a part of the solution. Even as a young guy growing up here, I mean, it was clear to me that there were some kids that had a good start, and the good start was a family that cared, parents that were invested and present in their life, that gave them boundaries. And then there were a whole other group of kids, a lot of them were my friends, who didn't have that. They didn't have that anchor point. They didn't have that value system. And John, I watched them go off the rails. And some of them are doing the same things now that they were doing back when I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
They're at the same parties, at the same beaches, doing the same things. And so for me, I do what I do, and we do what we do at LiveWell out of purpose and out of passion. And the goal is to try to help people put themselves in situations where they can begin to be the best versions of themselves they can possibly be.
So as a young man growing up in North Merritt Island, you really knew what the roadmap looked like for you. You had it specifically mapped out.
I think that's probably an overstatement. I don't know that it was specifically mapped out. What I knew is that the way I was raised and the way I was living, I could see a path, and that path led somewhere different than the folks that didn't have the opportunities that I had, with just the anchor points and the faith and the family. So the roadmap was, I want to be a part of something that matters, and I want to do something meaningful. And then as I got into college and I started to kind of just look around at a major, that's when it became clear to me, okay, I need to arm myself with information, with strategies that can help people live better. And so that started a cascading effect of all this education. It took a long time. It's like 11 years, I think.
Really?
Yeah. So I went to grad school up in Wheaton College up in Illinois, and man, it's a long road to become a psychologist. But looking back, it's all worth it, because I feel like I'm positioned right now to be able to speak life into this community. And that really is the heart behind LiveWell. That's the heart behind every one of the clinicians that I have working for me. Our mission, our goal is to beat back that tidal wave of brokenness that's coming at us, and to be a part of the solution.
Dr. Mike is with us, psychologist Dr. Mike, Ronsisvalle, and LiveWell is his clinic. You've got two clinics here in Brevard County, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've got one in Melbourne and one in Vieira Suntree.
Yes, that's right.
All right, so you're easily accessible. And, Dr. Mike, we had a conversation recently with Sheriff Wayne Ivey. We were talking about the situation in our country these days, the tragic situations that are unfolding before our eyes almost every day. And he echoed many of the same things that you've talked about as far as that family base. The family probably is the foundation of where everything else builds up from there, positively or negatively. But
Right.
hopefully with that family-based foundation, it is a positive step in the right direction toward life.
Ultimately, we're at a place culturally where so many of the things that built our country into what it was, we've left them. We've left our first loves in many ways. We've left the idea that family matters. We've left the idea that integrity matters. We've left the idea that honor matters. And what happens when you begin to leave these things that are just anchor points and central to your identity as a human, but also as a culture, is you can get off the rails. And I feel like our culture, our society is off the rails. We've left normalcy and we've entered what I call a toxic culture. I really believe our culture itself is toxic. And what I mean by that is, if I have someone come in my office and they are, let's say they're borderline personality disorder. Someone who's got a borderline personality disorder, they have, first of all, a ton of woundedness and trauma from their past. Usually they have deep attachment issues. And they look at life in very black and white categories. For them, it's all or nothing. Either you're all good or you're all bad. And they send mixed messages. Come here, go away. And the message they send is almost exclusively contingent upon the triggers that they get from the people around them. If they feel like the people around them love them and accept them and speak life into they idolize them, they glorify them. But the minute someone says something that makes that person with borderline personality disorder feel like maybe they're going to criticize them or at worst abandon them or reject them, the emotion kicks in. And it's a highly emotional, charged response that in some ways just leaves reason, right? And if you look at our culture, that is exactly what our culture does. It is black or white. You're for me or against me. I love you, I hate you. And John, that's an unhealthy way to go through life. When you don't see the gray, when you don't allow yourself to say, man, there are some things that I might not fully understand. There's some humility I might need to engage. There's a moment where I might be met with a challenge from someone or a disagreement, and that doesn't impact my personhood. That doesn't impact my view of myself or them. I just recognize that's part of being human. And so culturally, in this toxic culture, we've set ourselves up in a way where we are either black or white, and that's why we have things that happen like the assassination of Charlie Kirk, because you have a young man there that was taught by the internet, by radicals on the internet, to destroy someone if they don't agree with you. The only response, if someone doesn't agree with you, is to literally annihilate them. And that's the very emotional reactivity that we see with individuals that come in our office with very severe psychopathology. And culturally, we've normalized it.
Well, you mentioned, Dr. Mike, as far as the toxic nature now of our society. Is it, are we getting to the point where, Dr. Mike, it's too late to bring things back in Where do we stand? And even before you answer that, Dr. Mike, where do you start? That's an even better question. Where do you go with this?
So, John, I'll tell you this. I believe this with everything that's in me. It's never too late. It's never too late. It's never too late for an individual that walks in our office like one person. It's never too late for anybody that's listening to us today to change. It's not too late for our culture to turn the tide and to begin to walk towards those things that are going to bring life and joy and peace and happiness and prosperity. Now's the time, right? We're at a critical juncture because the longer we persist in this toxicity, the worse it's going to get. But we've got to believe and trust together that if people can say, okay, I'm going to outline for myself what my value system is. And I hope it's things like I value character. I hope that as a culture we can get back to that idea that we value integrity. I hope that as a society and as a community we can get back to those ideas that we value family and faith. Because if we can, then all we've got to do is begin to act out of our value system. Right now in the toxic culture, our behavior, it reflects what happens outside of us. In other words, if you say something that I disagree with, I have to respond to that, and I've got to bury you. And if I invalidate my value system, or I do something that's inconsistent with my value system in the process, so be it, because I'm taking you down. That's how we're living. But man, there is such hope that if we can just as a culture begin to say, wait, let's be people of honor. Let's do the right thing. Let's do the next healthy thing. And if that's the groundswell that happens as a result of what happened with Charlie Kirk, is that as a culture we begin to say, wait, forget all this black and white thinking. Forget that part of us that wants to just react in anger at any given moment. We're going to do the healthy things. John, what prevents us from reclaiming health as a culture? Nothing. It's the only thing preventing us from doing that is us.
Right. Right, and that's a good point. This psychologist really knows what he's talking about. We are delighted to have psychologist Dr. Ronsisvalle with us. And Dr. Mike, as we wrap up here on our segment today, and we're going to have to get you back for further segments. You're just starting to get on a roll here, and I hate to stop you, but give us again information about your two clinics and how our viewers and listeners can contact you.
Yeah, so we've got clinics on US 1 in Melbourne, right near downtown Melbourne. We've got another clinic right near the corner of 95 and Wickham Road in Vieira. And like I said, we can handle anything that comes through our door. So depression, anxiety, stress, ADHD, OCD, marital problems, problems with your kids, family therapy, whatever's going on in a person's life, my staff is prepared and ready to enter that process with you. So we have an army of people that are willing to do creative things to get people healthy and to have them stay healthy. We have a new digital platform we just created, and on that digital platform, we've got a library of content, courses that you can take at your leisure, at your convenience, on demand, things like how do I cope with depression, or stress relief for life, or I taught a course on anxiety on our platform. That's awesome, man. I just took what I do every session for about 12 or 13 sessions, and I taught those coping skills, and people can access that on the online digital platform, and they never have to step foot in our office. We also do challenges every month on that platform where people can begin to say, okay, I'm challenged by LiveWell to do something different every day for 14 days. And John, when people start to just make small changes over time, they begin to see their life take on new shape. They begin to see their relationships get better. And so my point is, it doesn't matter if it's our digital platform, clinical work done in the office, a conversation that you have with one of our med management team, or an intensive program where you're coming to see us for 12 or 15 hours a week. Whatever it is, our heart is that people begin to walk in a life that they can look back and say, man, I'm finally becoming the person that I was called to be, that I was created to be.
It's good to have a resource in our community like Dr. Mike, and we appreciate your being with us here. I hope you can come back and join us again. We've got so much more to talk about, and I'd like to also stop by one of your clinics and get a tour and find out in person what you and your clinicians do.
Absolutely. Anytime, John.
Look forward to it.
All right.
Again, the phone number to get in touch with you?
321-259-1662. Or they can visit us on the web at LiveWellBehavioralHealth.com.
Excellent. Dr. Mike, thanks for being with us on this edition of Space Coast Daily.
Thank you, sir.